drilled the holes to mount the miter saw to the base, and it's going to be permanently bolted. I'm not going to be removing this. It's one of the features of this bench is I want to be able to slide the saw in. I don't want to have to deal with loosening and tightening nuts. So I have this 1/4 inch pan head, and I need it, or I would like it to be recessed into the wood so that when I set the saw down, I don't have these rubbing on anything. And so the way I would do this, the right way to do this, is I'd have a Forstner bit. I'd find these little center points, and the first thing I'd do is drill with the Forstner bit a flat bottom hole so that just the depth, just slightly deeper than the depth of the head, and then it would fit in. Well, I set the saw up and I got a little ahead of myself, and I drilled all the way through with the final size, and so now I don't have a center point, and to try to drill that with a Forstner bit, it's really tough. It can be done, but it'll dance around. So what I'm going to do is to, instead of remaking the board or making some adjustments, I just mounted a 3/4 inch router bit, and I'm going to set the proper depth and plunge in. And in the plans, I'm not going to show the hardware for mounting the saw. I'm going to leave that up to you to figure out. People will have different saws, so I'm this will be the only place that this is mentioned. Festool gives you a lot of mounting options. They have this about 1/3 in from the back of the base of the saw. They have a mount that's kind of out of the way, and I found that I just have to mount one here, and on the other side I don't need to bother with the front back. That's far enough in that it keeps it up. And on this particular one, this hole is shaped like a hex nut, and I could drop a nut in and screw it up from the bottom with a screwdriver, but I found these knobs that fit right in there, so I went ahead and used these. I put a little dado on the bottom side of the mount 3 inches back because the design of this bench with this saw, I needed it to hang out 3 inches beyond the bench because I didn't want to make the bench any wider, and I needed room for the table saw. Kind of to get a small table like this with this many tools mounted, I had to keep adjusting things and moving things around to get things dialed just right so that the saw has the miter saw has complete use, the table saw has good functionality, as well as where I'm going to put the router that fits in. So kind of a little dance there to back and forth and adjusting. That's why the first bench was remodeled and remodeled and remodeled until I got that dialed just right. And this is one of the things I figured out along the way. So by putting that dado there, it will lock it right in. That gives me the clearance, just barely, of what I need here, and clearance all the way around. And the other advantage is I'm not going to be bolting the base into the bench. I wanted to make this quick setup, quick tear down. The table saw isn't bolted down. The router isn't. It's just dropped in, and now this is just set in. And the other advantage to this, if I want a little more rip on the table saw, I can lift this and just slide it out and let it sit here, and that'll give me a few more inches. And then if I need the complete width of the bench for ripping, then I just pull this out and set it on the floor out of the way so that without pulling a bunch of bolts and things. So that was the reasoning. I did a lot of back and forth on that. I put a lot of thought into this to come up with something that worked for me and for my workflow. Okay, I needed to get that mounted so that I can go and finish up the part of the top that will be the miter bench. I'll need to mount these. This is backing with that dado in it, and I need to mount them under on each side so that the T-slot will go through nice and smooth. So I'll need to put the extensions on, figure out where these go, cut these, and just glue them on.